Bobby Belt.
Bobby knows ball. Hey, let's talk ball. We're the ball knowers and we just talk ball. We do know ball. We do talk ball. And so does Dane Brugler. Let's talk about what Dane Brugler has to say here in Below the Belt, which is sponsored by Academy Sports and Outdoors and Window Nation. Boy, Shan he still hasn't come around on the talking ball thing.
Look, it's I never equated talking ball with football. I always equated it with basketball. You want to play some ball?
Well, yeah, but I mean that's the whole thing.
So if you're going to play ball and everybody thinks it's basketball, if you're going to talk ball, it has to be basketball as well. We got to be consistent.
This whole argument came from that when I was when Shan was like, "Oh, I can't believe you say that." As I was referring to the way scouts, which were right in the middle of the NFL draft process, I said that's why scouts will tell you they want to find out, they want to talk to the guy, they want to find out does he love ball, blah, blah, and then when he goes, why do you say that? You can't say that. It's like, I'm not saying, I'm literally telling you how they describe it. Does he love ball? That is what they will say.
It's literally not a ball.
Yeah, it is.
Balls are round.
It's the most unique ball. In fact, you could say that's why it is the ball, and we're talking ball. Because it's the football. That's one of my favorite quotes. I've referenced it on the air multiple times. The Matthew Berry has quoted from it before, and I think it originally came from Football Outsiders or somebody. But he borrowed the quote, which is, "The ball's a funny shape." There's some things you cannot predict in football because that ball's a funny shape. It'll bounce weird. It'll do weird things. There's only so much you can predict with the NFL, and I think the ball's a funny shape is a good just general credo to apply to the way the NFL season works, and the injury, the war of attrition, that's a version of the ball's a funny shape. That's just the uniqueness of the NFL game, and in terms of the way that it can just derail seasons and that constant fight that goes on. But I'm curious, before we get into the Dane Brugler thing.
Well, it should be talking skin, by the way, because pigskin, I think that's a unique name for it.
Talking skin and talking ball. This is
skin.
I don't know. The NFL is trying to eliminate the whole skins thing. But anyway, Nick, how do you feel about analytics in football? What is their use?
I think there is a use for it, and I also think there's an oversaturation of it.
Chop, where have you feel like you've evolved a little or moved a little? What is your position ultimately right now on analytics?
I love analytics. I think they've become too powerful.
The example for oversaturation of analytics, I don't care who you are, you cannot convince me that when you score a touchdown to go up by 7, why you are not going for 2 every single time to try to go up by 9. Same thing with if you're 100%. Going up by 15, you're trying to go up by 17. You want to make it a possession, an extra possession game.
Dude, I totally agree.
I don't understand kicking an extra point there.
I don't either.
And I've asked analytics people before, and it's like, well, then if you don't get it, then the other team could go for 2 and they beat you. It's like, no, but they're not. They're going to kick the extra point.
The analytics team says when you go up by 7, to not kick the extra, to not go for 2?
To not go for 2.
The
to kick the extra
team
point.
Says that?
Yes, to kick the extra point. There is an overwhelming, that's the overwhelming majority.
I think it's got to do with your odds of getting that versus getting the extra point and then compounding it with their odds of scoring a touchdown and then their odds of converting a 2-point conversion. It's some calculation that relates to somehow that's got to be what it is, but I still don't.
At the very least, your odds of converting a 2-point conversion are 50%, right? At the very minimum, right? It's a pass-fail. But in reality, getting 2 yards is probably a 60 to 65% success rate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but when you're talking about on a 2-point conversion,
everything changes, right? I get it. I'm with you. If I go up by 7, I'm going for 2. I'm making it a 9-point game.
Same thing with 15.
So my position on, I talked about this with some people in Indy. I have where I fall down on analytics at this point is I think they're great. I think that the NFL resisted them for too long. I think that now the NFL is trying to get analytics to do things that they should not be doing and that they can't possibly do.
I think it's really good for team building. I think it's really good for in-game.
Analytics are great for telling you what happened. Analytics are awful for telling you what will happen.
Oh, right, because it's a
the predictive them trying to turn analytics into predictive tool. That's where I think you're getting into trouble
because every play is its own season essentially.
The ball's a funny shape,
and that doesn't necessarily work. I think it's better in baseball. But I also think it's ruined baseball.
It has ruined it a little bit, but baseball, again, yeah, you're right. It's the whole 3 true outcomes thing in baseball.
And it's also like it really works over 162 games. And if you notice, it always fails in the playoffs.
Yeah. No, if you look at,
because you don't get, the number one thing in analysis is it relies so heavily on walks. You don't walk in the playoffs at the same rate.
We got Zach Wheeler taken out because of analytics in a World Series game. He shouldn't have been taken out of.
Blake Snell.
Blake Snell was another one like that. So it can be run amok. Shoddy was telling us that, I guess so. I mean, Ryan Feeder, we've heard him mention it before, the game management guy. I guess Feeder is like plugged into the headset, telling him this is what the numbers say on every single fourth down situation. And he was telling us, I'm sure he was exaggerating a little, but he was like, we could be on our 40 and it's 4th and 18, and Feeder saying, go for it. So, they've got, they are getting the information in real time of this is what it says to do.
Yeah.
And it's just in some instances, Shoddy's like, no, which I would agree with Shoddy in that instance. Sometimes I don't care if it says there's a 53% chance you're going to get it. Don't care. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to rely on it. All right, Dane Brugler has a new mock draft up. We got Ron Slavin, NFL agent, coming up next segment, 9:20. We got the Red Zone, which, by the way, there's a new Michael Silver article, which he's always good for spilling unique info. He's got a whole write-up on Max Crosby wanting to get out of the Raiders organization.
Interesting.
So we'll do that at 9:20. But Dane Brugler has a new mock draft up. We talked a little bit earlier at, I believe it was 7:20 when we had done it, or 7 o'clock. It was during the 7 o'clock segment where we talked about the Mike Sando mock draft, which had some wild stuff in there. Sonny Styles falls out of the top 10. Caleb Downs falls out of the top 10. Some of these executives were saying Keldrick Falk, the edge rusher from Auburn, would go top 5. So what does Dane Brugler have to say coming out of Indianapolis? Number 1, the Las Vegas Raiders select Fernando Mendoza, quarterback from Indiana. Number 2, the Jets select Arvell Reese, edge rusher, Ohio State. This feels like that's now getting solidified. That it feels like everybody's coalescing around the Jets are going to take Reese.
Yeah, especially after the trade last week, them acquiring Tavondre Sweat. Like, pairing him with Reese makes a lot of sense.
And Reese's workout was really, really good.
Yeah.
Reese looked great out there in Indianapolis. Number 3, the Arizona Cardinals select Francis Mauigoa, offensive tackle, Miami. He says, in terms of NFL ceiling, Mauigoa might not be the level of past number 3 picks, but this is a different draft, and he brings a high floor, one which would immediately upgrade the Cardinals' right tackle spot. This is one of the higher spots I've seen in recent weeks in a mock draft. Tennessee Titans, Dane's got them taking Jeremiah Love.
The Titans love Jeremiah Love. And that was one of the big notes that came out of some of the respected voices in Indy last week, is that the Titans are really circling around Jeremiah Love.
Number 5, Sonny Styles, Ohio State, goes to the New York Giants. Cleveland Browns take Spencer Fano, offensive lineman, Utah. Okay, so this is where I'm going to stop.
Such a Browns pick.
There is a name that has not come off the board yet.
Caleb Downs?
No. David Bailey, edge rusher, Texas Tech.
Yeah.
The Browns want out of that 6th pick. Chop, when you were asking earlier, like, there's no chance they would go up, right? I'm finding out what it costs if Bailey's at 6 and the Browns went out.
If it's that 6 and 38 situation where you trade 12 and 20 and you pick up 6 and 38,
I'd do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I think it's worth tinkering.
Trade
with.
what?
Because this,
so they have
12 and 20.
They have 39.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you would trade 12 and 20, and you would get 6 and 39 back. And I think that's worth it. This safety class is so deep. I think you can get a really damn good safety there at 39.
So the Cowboys 2 picks on the Draft Tech's rundown of the trade value chart has it at 2050 is what their 2 picks are worth. So Cleveland's number 6 and number 39 is 2110. So it's close.
Yeah.
That, to me, if you're telling me I can get David Bailey and then have pick 39 to get one of these safeties maybe in a deeper class, or try and grab one of these corners who might have slid, sign me up. I'm making the trade if Cleveland wants to do that. Number 7, Washington Commanders take David Bailey, edge rusher, Texas Tech. 8.
That's another aspect of it. You're hopping in front of an NFC East team.
8, Carnell Tate, wide receiver, Ohio State, to the Saints. Chiefs take Ruben Bain, edge rusher, Miami, at 9. There's a lot more consistently Bain getting to 9, 10, 11, sometimes into the mid-teens in some of these mock drafts. Cincinnati Bengals take Caleb Downs, safety, Ohio State at 10. Dolphins take Monroe Freeling, offensive tackle from Georgia at 11. And then the Dallas Cowboys take really their last top target left on the board, Mansour Delane, cornerback, LSU. But something to think about, I would consider making that swap up to 6 if David Bailey's there.